I've been having some trouble with my DDR pads lately. Arrows are sometimes misfiring, not being sensitive enough, or sticking, which means it's probably time to do some pad maintenance. In this video, you'll get to see what I do to mod my pads. The sensors are still working fine, so what I'll be doing is remodding the whole pad with some new foam. If you've seen my previous video about pad modding, you'll know that I usually use craft foam. This time I'll be trying a silicone rubber type of foam. I've been meaning to try this stuff for a while, and I've found that this mod has been making waves in the Korean Pump It Up community, so I thought I would finally give this a try. Why switch from craft foam to silicone? The old foam has been fine for the most part. It has decent shock absorption and give to the material, but constantly stepping on it over time will eventually flatten it out and cause the material to lose its integrity. With silicone, it's supposed to maintain its shape for a very long time and be responsive and bouncy. In theory, I may never need to replace this foam as much as I would need to replace the craft foam. The only two things I'll need for this mod is of course the silicone foam and some gaffer tape. I prefer gaffer tape over other forms of tape because of its texture, durability, and how easy it is to rip pieces with only your hands. The foam I got is a silicone rubber sheet that's about 1 millimeter thick. Time to take out the old mod. Then I measure out the size of the foam pieces I'll need to cut. It's about a little under 3 inches long and almost an inch wide. You can try to eyeball an approximate cut, but I use a cry cut here to score the sheet to the size I want and use it as a guide for my scissors to cut through. And then I'll kind of guesstimate the cut using the top of the bracket as a guide. Next is using gaffer tape to tape down the foam to the bracket. Again, I'll guesstimate the measurement and tear a piece of tape off. It doesn't have to be perfect, just enough to keep the foam staying down. I'll repeat this process for all the sensors. Then what I'll do next is put the arrow panel back in to gauge how many more layers of tape I should add. I'll rip off some more tape to put on the top of the foam. I'll stack the layers until the arrow isn't freely moving around and until the panel feels sensitive enough for my liking. I'll try not to stack too much or else the arrow may start sticking. Not all pads will be perfectly balanced, so some sides will need more layers than others. For my up arrow, I like to raise the inner sensor higher than the others. For left and right, I like to keep the inner sensors a little recessed. And for the down arrow, I like to keep it almost flush to the center panel, but not completely, maybe about 1 millimeter of recession. Keep layering, testing, and repeat if necessary. Once I think it feels good enough, I'll call it done. You'll get a good idea of how much you need to adjust the mod the more you play. And that should be it. Hope this was helpful. If you're ever in a situation where you need to mod a DDR pad, now you know how. Thanks for watching.